Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the February 3rd, 2026 City Council meeting. Please note that all council members are present, with the exception of Mayor Ulloa, who has an excused absence. I'm going to request that Council Member Comstock lead us in the flag salute. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. You can be seated. Tonight we have a recognition of a team here in our city. It's pretty cool. I'm pleased to recognize a special group of young athletes who are proudly representing Chino on the national stage. Team Electric. How about a big round of applause for Team Electric? Will the Team Electric coaches and athletes please join me up front? Everybody come on up. Come on. Come on over here. Come on, ladies. Well, Team Electric recently earned an exclusive invite-only bid to compete in the Division II Summit Championship, one of the largest and most prestigious national all-star cheerleading competitions in the country, to be held in Orlando, Florida in May 2026. This achievement marks the first time in the Chino Gym's 23-year history that a team has qualified for this elite national event. Team Electric is composed and dedicated of athletes aged 8 through 14 who live and train right here in the city of Chino. Join me in congratulating Team Electric for their hard work and dedication, and please know that Chino is with you every step of the way on your journey to the national championship. Please accept these certificates that we're going to pass out in a moment as our appreciation. Round of applause for them.
I'm going to hold them. You can leave them.
And who is going to say a few words for Team Electric? Why don't you come on over here?
Hello, I'm Coach Zeta, and with me I have Coach Felicia, and we proudly coach our Team Electric. Our elite junior level 2 Team Electric from our all-star cheer program, Viper Athletics, have been practicing together since last June and received their wildcard bid to the D2 Summit in Orlando, Florida, at their first competition back in December. That is a huge accomplishment for our program, as we are the first team in 23 seasons to receive a summit bid. We are very proud of our girls, and this bid means we're just getting started. They continue to put in hard work and are now working extra practices and setting big goals for the summit. Thank you to the city of Chino for this special recognition and letting our girls represent the city. Congratulations, girls.
You can announce the names or have the mayor pro temp pass them off to you.
So I'll say it.
Yeah, okay. Put that with the mic.
Addison Jeske. Come up, girls. When I call your name, come up. Grab your certificate. Oh, sorry. Allison Tyberg. I don't think she's here. She's not here. I'll grab her back. Aubrey Hale. Go stand back. Ava Coonrod. Callie Goodman. She's not here. Cheyenne Van Hofwagen. Ella Jimenez. Italivi Lopez. Layla Galvan. Leilani Cardenas. Lily Najar. Mackenzie Zapata. Madeline Gullidge. Madison Correa. Madison Novello. Michaela Suh. Mia Castruita. I don't think she's not here. Olivia Deligianis. Skylar Simcoe. Oh, she's not here. Sophia Bazanos. Tess Loma. Violet Navarez. And that's all.
And that's everybody. If you can, do we have more? Okay. Coaches.
Oh, for me. Yeah. And Felicia Simcoe.
All right.
And Zeta Pena.
So this is exactly why you get to read the names and I don't have to do it. So very good.
I was exactly it.
So let's get a photo. Let's get a team photo. Thank you. Thank you very much, ladies. Thank you very much. Great job. Thank you. Okay, City Attorney, can you report out of closed session, please?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council, and all those present. The City Council met in closed session and discussed the single item on the closed session portion of the agenda, namely conference with real property negotiator concerning the property at 15180 Euclid Avenue in the city of Chino, with the negotiating parties being the city and the state of California. Under negotiation were price and terms of potential acquisition. City Council received an update, and no further reportable action was taken. That concludes the report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. City Manager, any agenda additions or revisions?
No changes, Mayor Pro Tem.
All right, thank you very much. Takes us to public announcements. First, I'm excited to announce that our Euclid Avenue Bridge project is moving forward, but there's still time to be part of the conversation. Our public scoping meetings last week were very well attended by our community, but we're still taking public comment about the environmental aspects of the project until Wednesday, February 11th. Join the conversation and help us create a project that we can all be proud of. For more information about the project and to submit your comments, please visit thecityofchino.org. Next, I'm pleased to invite you to the annual Run for Russ Memorial 5K Run, which is taking place this coming Saturday morning, February 7th. The Run for Russ honors the legacy of Chino police officer Russ Miller, who tragically lost his life in the line of duty on February 1st, 2000 by a drunk driver. Registration is currently open, and all proceeds support the Chino Police Officers Foundation, which aids the Chino community in times of need. For more information and to register, please visit runforruss.com. Speaking of 5Ks, registration is officially open for the annual Chino Youth Museum Derriere Fairy Tale 5K and Fun Run, happening on Saturday, March 7th at Ayala Park. For over 15 years, the Derriere has been a staple in the Chino community, featuring hundreds of community members of all ages running and walking the course around Ayala Park. This year's theme is Fairy Tale, and if you're encouraged, you are encouraged to wear your best fairy tale costume. All proceeds from the Derriere will go toward the exceptional programming at the Chino Youth Museum. To learn more and register, please visit the ChinoYouthMuseum.com. And then finally, I'd like to take this time to remember Troy Ament, the Associate Superintendent for Chaffey College, who passed away on January 11th. Troy was a lifelong public servant, having spent much of his career as a firefighter and later as a fire chief in the city of Montclair. His expertise in emergency management brought him to Chaffey College in 2012, where he oversaw campus safety, construction projects, maintenance, operations, and facilities. He was instrumental in the creation of Chaffey's Chino Instructional Building, a state-of-the-art learning center that is now home to Chaffey's nursing program. Colleagues at Chaffey College remember Troy as a man who crafted lifelong friendships among his peers and as someone who was always willing to pick up a shovel alongside his employees to safeguard the campus community. Troy left a lasting legacy not only at Chaffey College, but throughout the Chino Valley community. Our thoughts go out to his family and loved ones. Tonight's meeting will be adjourned in the memory of Troy Ament. Troy was a friend of mine. He was an incredible firefighter, public servant, ladies and gentlemen. We had breakfast many times over the last several years. We're really going to miss Troy, so we're going to adjourn this meeting in the name and memory of Troy. Okay, this is the time and the place for the general public to address the City Council about subjects that do not appear elsewhere on the agenda. First person up, Pastor Robert Harper from the Chino Church of Christ, who will provide the invocation. If you'd like to stand, please do so.
Let's pray. Our dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we come before you acknowledging your holiness and your sovereignty and your power. It is with humility that we stand before your presence and with gratitude because we recognize that our lives are testimonies of your grace, your mercy, and your compassion. Lord, our petition is rooted in your confidence and our confidence in you. Lord, you said to cast your cares upon you, for you care. So is our prayer this evening that you continue to extend your hand of blessing upon the city of Chino, that you protect and you provide and you prosper the leaders here in this city. As our prayer that you crown their head with wisdom to be able to make decisions that will be in the best interest of all people, promote unity and peace. The Lord, is our prayer that you allow this meeting to be productive and that the spirit of the golden rule may be always evident in this city, that we may strive to treat one another as we would like to be treated. It is in Jesus' name we pray this prayer. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. All right, next person up will be the field representative for Assembly Member Michelle Rodriguez, Sophia Cohen. Sophia, you want to come on up?
Hi, good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and City Council members. I'm very excited to announce the first event of the new year. We're going to be hosting Taxes and Tacos. This is an event where constituents can come and get their taxes done for free by the VITA program, and participants will be able to then get free tacos afterwards. The event will also have a small resource fair where we will have related resources for all our constituents. The event is going to be at Mount Zion Church of Ontario. The address is 224 West California Street, Ontario, CA 91762. For questions, our office is always here. Our phone number is 909-902-9606. We highly recommend appointments that can be made online on our website, but we'll also allow walk-ins as space allows. So thank you.
Thanks, Sophia, very much. Next up is Melissa Campani from Supervisor Kurt Hagman's office.
Well, good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Burton, council members, staff, and of course our community members. Supervisor Hagman has asked me to come tonight to announce a very special commission. He is looking for assistance and hoping that you can be part of the solution on a county commission or board. Supervisor Hagman is accepting applications from 4th District residents at this time. He's really looking for someone for the Behavioral Health Board. However, that at different times, we always have different positions open. So if you're interested in getting involved with the county, it's always a good place to start by looking at the website to see what's available. Applicants must be residents of the 4th District, which would include Chino, Chino Hills, Montclair, Ontario, and Upland, or a portion of Upland, I should say, anything generally south of 14th Street, as well as the immediately surrounding unincorporated areas. Residents can apply online, or for more information, I have a phone number here for you. It's area code 909-387-3961. And of course, we have the QR code. We can see that. And I happen to have a few flyers here today. If you know of anyone who's interested, please share this with them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Melissa. That's all the written requests that we have. Do we have anybody in the audience that would like to approach council? Harvey, come on up. Please state your name.
Harvey Luth.
Are you here as a Kiwanis member?
I'm here as Kiwanis member today.
Board
Kiwanis
director?
member.
Okay.
Yes, yes. Mayor Pro Tem, council, staff, and public, I just want to make sure you're aware that the Kiwanis are doing a play again this year as a fundraiser for the 7th Street Theater. There's a number of you on the dais and in the audience who have been on stage with us, and we appreciate that. This year we're doing a play called The Marquee Crossing Lady Society First Attempt at Murder. Yeah, it's a mouthful, I know.
Sure is.
It's a cute little play, very funny. We're rehearsing tonight, as we have been for quite a while. The show dates are February 12, 13, and 14 at 7:30 p.m. So note that time at 7:30, not 8. And then on the 14th and 15th of February, we have a matinee at 2:30. Tickets are $20 for anything that is pre-ordered, and $25 if not at the door. You can call the theater, the box office, at 909-590-1149 for tickets. And you can also go to a website called Seat Yourself. We have some flyers. I'll leave some flyers. And there's a QR code on there as well, so they take you right to the Seat Yourself website, and where you can order your tickets there as well. So just want to invite you. Hope to see you there. And again, this is a fundraiser for this little treasure we have in town, the 7th Street Theater. So thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Harvey. If you've never been to one of these Kiwanis plays, I encourage you to get out there and go. They're a lot of fun. I was in the very first one, and I think I played a quiet police officer, which is kind of unusual. But it was fun. Go out and see these folks. And the money goes to a great organization as well. So I encourage you to do that. Thank you, Harvey. Anybody else like to approach council? No, seeing none. We're going to move on to the consent calendar now. And do any council members wish to have any consent calendar item pulled? No. Seeing none, I'd like to ask for a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Let's vote by roll call, or I'm sorry, electronically.
Mayor Pro Tem, if you could announce the motion in the second, please.
Motion by Councilmember Comstock, seconded by Councilmember Lucio. Please vote electronically. Still waiting on you, Chris. Maybe do it again.
Hasn't popped up.
Should like a verbal?
Verbal.
Yes.
Thank you.
And the item passes 4 yes and 1 absent, being the mayor. And we go on to new business now, and we're going to go to item number 10, administrative fines for truck route violations. Staff report by Fred Galente, our city attorney.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council, and all those present. Before you is a proposal to amend the city's administrative fine schedule as it relates to commercial vehicles traveling off of designated truck routes. Chapter 10.44 of the Chino Municipal Code establishes designated truck routes within city limits. The designation of specific routes is intended to protect residential neighborhoods, preserve the integrity of roadway infrastructure, and promote public safety. The city's current penalties for any violation of the established truck routes are set at $250 for the first offense, $500 for the second, and $1,000 for the third and any successive offenses within a 12-month period. Despite the Chino Police Department's diligent efforts at citing violators of city truck route designation, I'm informed that the police department continues to encounter repeat violators. Enforcement experience indicates that the existing fine structure has not provided a sufficient deterrent to these violators. As a result, referencing California Government Code, the provisions authorize the city to adopt administrative penalties of up to $1,000 per occurrence. The scheme of that government code is aimed at those violations that constitute misdemeanors under your municipal code, which these would qualify. So to address the increasing frequency of truck route violations, the recommendation is to increase those fines from the current $250 to $500 for the first offense, $500 to $750 for the second offense, and the subsequent violations would remain at the cap of $1,000. The progressive fine structure that the city has, as well as will maintain, albeit at a higher rate, is in alignment with that of your neighboring cities, including Pomona, which imposes a $1,000 penalty for the first violation. All other current provisions of your municipal code relating to citation procedures, appeal rights, and the collection process will remain unchanged. The change being requested is simply for the fine amount. In reviewing the draft resolution, the suggestion is actually to make a small correction to designate the new numbers as being up to the designated dollar amounts, rather than right now it seems to suggest it is a set amount. But as the government code authorizes, police officers have discretion, and the government code does say the amounts are up to those the $1,000 authorized amount. And just clarifying that in the resolution would just underscore your police officers' discretion in citing violators. For example, if there are some that could be a more severe violation if a truck is going through a residential neighborhood, or other purposes the police officer finds appropriate to reduce the actual amount. With that, the cap is there, so it would be up to the cap stated in the resolution. So with that, I'm sure your police department, your chief, could answer any specific questions about enforcement, but beyond that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Before we go to the council, I'm going to open it up for comments. Anybody in the audience like to make a comment? Stubby, come on up.
Good evening, council. This is long overdue and probably not enough. It seems like every time you travel through the city, you find another hot spot. That's great, and I know PD is scrambling just to keep up with them. One that I've noticed, because I'm there frequently, is the Chino cutoff to Schaefer, that new warehouse. They're still going north and using Chino as an escape, and they're also using Chino to get as a shortcut to there. Eucalyptus Avenue at times has become literally a convoy of trucks going through College Park. I'm not sure that the additional $250 is going to be enough, because I understand, and I'm sure the PD can clarify that a lot of these people are repeat violators. You know, Central's always been a problem, and they're real good on that. But some of these other areas, somebody's going to get hurt. These trucks do not pay attention to, for instance, wheelchair users and crosswalks. So please support this. If not, ask to elevate it a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else like to address council on this issue? No, seeing none, I'll close the public comment. Any council members?
Yeah, I'll start. Chief, I know we give out a lot of citations. On the citations that we give out, what's the percentages that we actually collect money on?
I don't have the percentage of who pays, or as far as who doesn't pay. I have a dollar amount, and it's pretty significant on the amount of money that is collected through the fines. We average over the past 3 years about $700,000 of revenue from truck route violations. And so it's done through a third-party data ticket, where then if they do not pay the fine, then it goes against, they put a lien, it goes against their taxes to recover that money.
Okay. And I tend to agree with Stubby. For example, on some of the major streets, like let's say Kimball, where Kimball halfway through is a truck route and the other half is not a truck route. I can see administrative citations there because it's not really a residential street. But I think once you start having these trucks going through like West Preserve Loop or Eucalyptus Avenue, I think we need to start getting away from these administrative citations and actually start citing these people where it goes against their license, because it is getting more and more dangerous. These trucks, they know they're not supposed to be there. They cut through these neighborhoods because they want to cut time. And when they're usually trying to cut time off of their route, they're not traveling in the safest speeds. So my suggestion would be we stick to the administrative fines, go up to this level, but when they're in neighborhoods, I think we need to get away from these administrative fines and actually start fining them and start citing them on their licenses where it affects them, so that they know coming into neighborhoods is not something that they need to be doing.
So a couple things with that, I've heard this before. So I spoke to I have 3 officers specifically assigned to commercial enforcement and who deal with these truck drivers every day. They write the large portion of our truck route violations. So their feeling is there's just the disregard, because an example they use is like the 60 freeway, is we continue to see more and more trucks on the number 1, number 2 lane, even though that's a moving violation. So there is no deterrence for that, which that's an example. The bigger thing would be is if we start issuing notice to appear, whenever we write a notice to appear, aside obviously truck route for anything, almost always the truck driver contests the citation, because there's these group of attorneys that are on retainer that handle nothing but traffic violations. So there's traffic court, it's in Fontana, it's every week. So now if we started writing notice to appears, that would take these officers out of service. And it's currently right now, it's about 3.5 to 4 hours to appear on a case in traffic court. So you would see a significant influx of these officers almost every Tuesday being tied up in court all day on notice to appears and taking them out of the city where they're doing enforcement. And so they have that option. Again, I spoke to them about it, and they feel like, hey, this would be a deterrence. I think a counter to that, and where we made this last minute modification to this municipal code, is you have these trucks on, let's say, West Preserve, East Preserve Loop, right in the middle of these residential zones. Instead of going to just the $500 ticket, you go to the max immediately, and you don't wait for the recidivism. And this resolution gives them that right. So immediately that violation is $1,000. That's considerably higher than, and I get obviously the notice to appear, it could go on their driving record because it's issued as a moving violation. But that fine amount of $1,000 is considerably higher than if they were to get issued a notice to appear. So again, that's coming. I've spoken to my team about it. Hey, what can we do? Obviously, a lot of it is where they're doing enforcement is complaint driven. We're also linked into software into our city cameras. And I'll use the example eucalyptus. We're getting a lot of the complaints of trucks on eucalyptus. So we link the software into our city cameras on eucalyptus to get the number of trucks and the time that these violations mostly are occurring, so then our officers can be in that area to do enforcement.
Well, so I mean, you bring up one point about Tuesdays. My argument would be, it doesn't just, it's not just the dollar amount that goes on there, but it also affects their insurance. It affects different things to keep them off the main streets. But if it became such a problem on Tuesday because our 3 traffic officers are going there, then that's where you come in when you offset some other resources and make up that difference somewhere else. I mean, we can't say that we're not going to write these tickets to impact these guys so they don't come into our neighborhoods, even though, as it shows, that these administrative citations aren't having much effect. I think we need to go to that next step. And if it gets to the point where our 3 officers are there, then you need to figure out something where you bring in some other resources to offset that particular day and cover truck routes. But I mean, saying, well, our guys are going to have to testify in court, that's the name of the game. I mean, that's our job. That's what we do. I mean, I don't want to keep these guys on administrative citations and then they never go to court. I think it's something that's been hitting our city continuously. I think residents have been complaining about it. And I don't think we can just sit up here and say, well, you know what, we'll just raise the fines. And if that doesn't work, then we're going to do maybe something else. But I think we need to start hitting these truck drivers to the point where it affects their licenses and it affects their insurance and affects their ability to drive.
What I think we can do, and we're open. I'll be honest, the amount of, and I know you guys get the emails, you guys get the complaints. Obviously, Stubby talks about it. For me, this is probably, truck routes is probably the top complaint. We're willing to try anything. And so what I think we can do specifically with this notice to appear, we can implement this. I can implement this protocol with our officers and give it a phase, however long it might be, and let's see if we see a reduction, then obviously it's working. If we don't see a reduction, then we pivot. We try something different. We're open to suggestions. Obviously, bringing this municipal code forward and making changes. So no, we'll give it a shot and we'll see see if it helps.
Okay. I have nothing else.
Anybody else? Karen?
I agree with all the comments made here tonight. I agree with Mr. Barr's comments. I agree with Councilmember Lucio's comments. Of course, you and I haven't worked together before, Kevin. You know my perspective on this. It is frustrating and terrible when you drive through town and you find where our truck drivers end up. Not just in residential areas, but on roads that are so narrow they don't belong there. I think there's 2 things here. Some truck drivers are just trying to cheat to get to the quickest route and get back instead of taking the route that they know and taking a risk at it. There is a function of the law called the deterrence, that the deterrence has to be more than the risk, right? So to me, the discussion here tonight is this amount enough of a deterrence? I don't know that there is enough deterrence because you could do a comparison as well to fireworks. But I would say that our officers should have the discretion when you find these violators like off of West Preserve Loop or in areas where they really don't belong and they know they don't belong there. I mean, the minute they turn there or even think to turn there, those drivers know they don't belong there and they just go there anyway. I think we should go the path sometimes, and I even said this when I was still working, of writing a violation that does affect their points and their record, even if that means occasionally some of our guys do have to go and testify, because I think that is sometimes where it gets drivers who don't want to obey the rules to really be held accountable. So I think some strategy with your team in that decision-making is appropriate. I'm willing to support the ordinance as it is, but I do wonder if the amount is enough. And I do think sometimes our officers should issue a violation that is more appropriate to their safety record as a driver, because that's what this comes down to, is when they're in these areas and these violations are going, before their judge or to their record, it attests to their ability to get their license renewed, some of their safety operations renewed through the Department of Transportation. So those are my comments.
Fred, correct me if I'm, is it $1,000 to be the muni code is the max, or?
That's the government code maximum.
Chris, you have anything?
No comment.
Let's face it, this is not a problem that's going to go away. This is going to get worse, folks. With the new building of the Amazon Center out on Euclid Avenue, with the amount of trucks that are going to be going in and out of that, as well as the proposed truck parkings throughout our city, as well as another truck parking area in Ontario. They're on the southeast corner of Euclid and Schaefer. It's going to continue to get worse, and we need to really get on it now. And I know we've been making tremendous efforts, Chief, and I see the guys out there all the time writing these tickets, but it's almost like we don't have enough personnel. Have we looked into getting another individual in traffic to work nothing but commercial enforcement?
We currently I have 2 officers specifically that write, their main focus is commercial enforcement. And then I have another officer that handles a lot of the safety components that go along with these trucks as well, but obviously fills in. And then the traffic, what we've been doing a lot recently is they go out in operations, and they specifically, if we're getting complaints, Chino Mountain Avenue, I'm sure you can see them. We're getting a lot of complaints. Chino Mountain Avenue, Eucalyptus was another one. And they go out and they will saturate these areas and to writing these citations. So they'll pull in outside. It's a challenge of resources, because this is trucks. It's also, there's other things going on throughout the police department as well. It's a competition competing of resources, and obviously patrol officers as well.
Yeah, Mark?
So then to Linda, obviously with the increase of the fines, if we're currently at 700,000, the increase of the fines obviously is going to drive it up higher. Can you look at potentially seeing if we can offset some of the fines paying for another traffic enforcement officer? Because I think that would be something that the city would be, at least the residents would be interested in, getting some more people to work traffic enforcement along these truck routes, especially with the growth that's going to happen. I think we should get ahead of it instead of being reactive once it's already here and it becomes even a bigger problem.
And in addition to that, Mark, I think, that will pay for more than one officer, obviously, but I think one of the things we committed to is, I don't like your term, Chief, as revenue. Those are fines collected.
Correct.
And that money does have to go back to repairing our roads and different things that the trucks damage by driving off a truck route. That's a nice way of putting it, because you're the chief right now, but when I look at it directly, these trucks do a lot of damage, especially when they're off a truck route. So in addition to staffing, I think we also, when we talked about this, we made a commitment to taking that money and putting it back into roadway repairs because of the damage that they do off the route.
So certainly we can review all of that in our upcoming budget. And I would leave it up to the chief to identify the necessity that he needs within the department, but we can bring that back to the council.
Chief, what's the difference in the enforcement ratio, like during the daytime? Like the drivers kind of, they talk to each other. They know when the enforcement is occurring on any aspect, whether it's, anytime you have a targeted enforcement or specific enforcement, they know, like, what's, are there extended hours that are needed beyond just kind of the 7 to 5?
So we looked at that because we
Okay.
heard that before. So we have a couple of graveyard officers, specifically one in particular that works, and he's been working for a long time during the week, graveyard hours, who does traffic enforcement. So between him, on top of looking at our analytics and using our brief cam software that we're hooking up to our traffic cameras to see when the violation's occurring. And by and large, the overwhelming majority of them are during your between morning to evening hours and it's Monday through Friday.
Most of our warehouses don't operate 24 hours a day, thankfully, but some of them do, but most of them
They
don't.
do, and I will say, like, we had a problem with FedEx of their trucks driving off a truck route. And so I personally went down and met with the transportation manager to see, we need to resolve this, you need to find different routes. And so if we know there's trucks that are going to and from a certain warehouse or business that are violating our truck routes, we're looking for long-term solutions. We're looking to solve the problem. On top of our enforcement officers, they have truck route maps on them. So when they're writing the citation, they're also providing them with the truck route map. Because a large portion of these violators, they're going off of their GPS map, and their GPS map says this way, even though our city sign says they can't, but they continue to follow their GPS map. So, but I appreciate the comments, and by all means, we are open. We will we'll make some changes. We'll see what we can do to try something different in some of the different areas and see if that makes an impact.
Do we have a lot of repeat offenders?
We average about 70 a year. We average about 3,000 citations. We write about 3,000 citations a year, and about 70 of them a year are repeat offenders.
And, you know, I know that our truck route signs are, I believe they're oversized now. I don't see Dennis Rawls out there. Dennis, you out here? Is it possible to make larger signs than the oversized signs? I mean, I have had numerous residents come to me telling me, I know, I knew that was coming, but I've had them say, hey, why don't we get larger signs? My response is, these are already oversized signs as it is. Is it possible to go up a little bit more with a freestanding sign before the intersections that come up?
We can certainly look into that. As a standard, we do post the signs at every intersection where truck routes are. But certainly we've talked about putting in additional signs in advance to give truck drivers advance notice. So we can certainly look into that. You are correct. Our truck route signs citywide are larger than the standard size. They actually exceed Caltrans standards. I don't think the signs are the issue because they are clearly visible. So the truck drivers are just, as the chief said, they're just listening to their GPS. They're not even looking at the signage. So we can certainly look into more signage. We've done a lot of that especially on Chino Avenue off of the 71. There is numerous signs there. If you got off the freeway as a truck driver on Chino and you claim you didn't miss a sign, you aren't looking at anything. There's tons of signs out there. But yeah, we can look at additional signage to help bring more awareness of where the truck routes are to help establish that.
I like the idea of advanced signs as well. That would help us to just help educate our residents on our districts and throughout the city, really. But that would just show that we're taking that extra step forward. So thank you very much. Chief, thank you. Anybody else have any comments?
We've talked about signs, and I mean, we've made a big change in signage for truck routes. But I mean, it's not uncommon to be sitting at Chino and 71 and watch trucks not only pass signs, but pass a flashing billboard sign. And it can't be that they can't see it.
They do it out by my Schaefer and Mountain area. It's just constant all day long. And Chief, I got to let you know, I really appreciate the efforts of our folks getting out there and writing the tickets. They're out there. I see them. We just don't have enough because of the amount of trucks that are coming in. And again, it's just going to get worse as time goes on. So thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Okay, I am going to request a motion on this item.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
A motion by Councilmember Flores, seconded by Councilmember Lucio. Please vote.
And just to clarify, that
I'm sorry.
includes the suggested change to the resolution to add the words up to those amounts, giving the officers discretion.
Yeah, that's my motion.
Thank you.
Okay, please vote. And the motion passes 4 yes, 1 absent. All right, thank you very much. And we're going on to item number 11. Funding reconciliation for the Central Avenue SR 60 interchange project R7-200. Staff report by Sylvia Ramos and Hajun Lee, Director of Public Works.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and members of the City Council. Before you this evening is a budget adjustment for the Central Avenue and State Route 60 Interchange Project R7200. This project is a regional effort led by San Bernardino County Transportation Authority, or SBCTA, and includes roadway widening, bridge reconstruction, and new on and off ramps at Central Avenue and SR 60 Interchange. After my presentation this evening, Senior Engineer Michelle Henderson will walk the council through Amendment Number 6 to the SBCTA Cooperative Agreement, which covers additional landscape costs and other project updates. My purpose this evening is to finalize the funding cleanup for this project and ensure sufficient funds are available to support Amendment Number 6 and project closeout. In 2022, the City Council approved a construction agreement with MetroCell for a masonry wall at the Police Department facility to improve security and on-site aesthetics. The wall is located adjacent to the Central Avenue and 60 Interchange project. However, it is a standalone Police Department improvement and not part of the Interchange project scope. The cost of the wall equated to $988,803, which was mistakenly charged to the Interchange project, which was funded with development impact fee revenues. Because DIF funds may only be used for transportation-related improvements, this expense is not eligible. Consequently, staff is recommending a budget correction to remove this charge from the DIF program and reassign it to an appropriate funding source such as the general fund. This correction is part of a broader project closeout effort and was reviewed both by the Infrastructure and Streets Committee and the Finance Department during budget preparation discussions, ensuring transparency, fiscal accountability, and consistency in the city's financial management. Moving on to the project budget, this table summarizes the project budget by funding source, including the original adopted budget, proposed amendments or adjustments, and revised budget. The original adopted project budget is $18.4 million. Staff is proposing two budget adjustments. The first adjustment of $988,803 restores funding previously used for the police department wall expenditure. Although not shown in the table, the staff report's recommendation also includes a transfer of $988,803 from the general fund to reimburse the citywide circulation DIF Fund 220. This correction is required because the masonry wall is outside the approved scope on Central Avenue. The second adjustment of $62,942 accounts for additional landscape costs associated with Amendment Number 6 to the SBTCA Cooperative Agreement, which Michelle Henderson will address in the next presentation. Because landscape improvements are not eligible for DIF funding, this amount will be offset through the general fund. With these adjustments, the revised overall project budget will increase to $19.47 million. Any unused funds at the end of the project closeout will be returned to their respective fund balances. Staff determined it is prudent to keep the DIF funds available at this time to address any remaining closeout costs or unresolved items associated with the project closeout. Therefore, it is staff's recommendation to the City Council to appropriate $62,942 from the general fund to support required landscape maintenance for the Central Avenue and 60 Interchange project, approve a transfer of $988,803 from the general fund balance to reimburse the citywide circulation DIF Fund 220 for expenditures for a prior fiscal year's police department wall project, appropriate an additional $988,803 from the citywide circulation DIF Fund 220 to Central Avenue SR Interchange Project R7200 for a revised budget of $19.4 million. That concludes my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Would anyone in the audience like to address the council on this item? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to open up council comments. Mark?
Now, was it just that we discussed this during a workshop? Okay, because I thought we had already moved that money over, but had we only discussed it?
Yeah, we just brought it to the Infrastructure Committee to vet it out, and then we had a subsequent action here at Council to clean up the budget.
Oh, okay. That's all I have.
Any other comments? Nothing, Chris, Karen?
No, just that we did discuss this at the Infrastructure Committee, and thank you for bringing it back to council for approval. I support it.
Okay, I'd like to request a motion
Make
for
a
this
motion.
item. Motion by Councilmember Comstock, seconded by Councilmember Lucio. Please vote. And the item passes 4-0 with the mayor absent. All right, we're going to move an item from item 15. We're going to move that to the front of the agenda at this point in time. This is going to be the Planning Commission appointments. I will provide the staff report for Mayor Ulloa. This is a recommendation to approve the reappointment of Kevin Cisneros, Lisa Fraga, and Lawrence Vieira, and appoint Anne Marie Lamento to the Planning Commission. Do any council members have any comments at this time? No? Okay, seeing none. Can the newly appointed commissioners and the city clerk come up to the front for their oath of office?
Mayor Pro Tem, if we could take a vote, a quick vote.
Okay, let's vote on the item.
I'll make the motion.
I'll make the second.
Vote by Councilmember Lucio, seconded by Councilmember Comstock. Please vote.
There it goes on the back.
And the item passes 4 yes, 1 absent, with being the mayor. Come on forward, folks.
We're moving up item 15. Yep. Oh, it's not even on here. Anyways, it was Casey. I'll mark this. It is. It's
Please
just not.
raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter. Congratulations.
Good evening. I'm Lisa Fraga, and I am excited to be on the commission for another 4 years. I proudly serve our city, and I am looking forward to working with our planning department to make the city even better than it is.
I'm Mary Vieira, and I'm, first off, very, very happy to be here. I appreciate the opportunity that the council's given us, and I look forward to another 4 years of success.
Quick thank you to Mayor Ulloa and Mayor Pro Tem Burton and our council members for the reappointment. And just Lisa, want to say that I know that Joe is very proud of you. I am happy that you submitted your application and that you're being reappointed. And thank you for the You're My Boy Blue, because when I was appointed first to the Planning Commission approximately 6 years ago, he stood in the back, and as Mayor Ulloa stood here appointing us, he yelled as loud as he could, "You're my boy, Blue." And so I miss having my buddy Joe Fraga here, but I know that Joe is proud of you for being reappointed and for pushing on, and just love you very much. And grateful for the opportunity to serve our city. Thank you.
I'm Anne Marie Lamento, and I'm the rookie in the group. I'm very excited to join this great team. I've read all about it, and I've lived in the city for about 35 years, so I'm very much looking forward to participating in all that the city has to offer in the development.
Congratulations, commissioners, and Commissioner Lamento, congratulations
Yes,
again.
congratulations.
Okay, we're going to move on to item number 12, amendment number 6, cooperative agreement between the City of Chino and the San Bernardino County Transportation Authority, which is the SBCTA, for the Central Avenue and State Route 60 interchange improvement project. Staff report by Michelle Henderson, Senior Engineer, and Agent Lee, our Director of Public Works.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and council members. Tonight, I will be recommending approval of amendment number 6 to the cooperative agreement with SBCTA for the Central Avenue at SR 60 interchange project. The Central Avenue overpass project at State Route 60 has been a crucial project for easing traffic congestion in the city of Chino and San Bernardino County region. As noted in the previous presentation, the project scope involved widening the eastbound and westbound ramps and the Central Avenue Bridge overpass. Improvements were made to the hardscaping and landscaping, as well as the addition of street lighting. The San Bernardino County Transportation Authority, or SBCTA, is the lead agency. On October 1, 2013, the City of Chino entered into a memorandum of understanding with SBCTA to outline the project's terms. On July 15, 2014, the City Council approved a cooperative agreement between the City and SBCTA. The co-op agreement designates SBCTA as the lead agency responsible for project management, planning, environmental documentation, design, right-of-way acquisition, and construction. SBCTA was also tasked with selecting and managing the consultant teams and coordinating with Caltrans for property acquisition. The original co-op agreement also established cost shares for the project. The original total estimated project cost was $20,591,000, of which the city's fair share was $12,493,964. A total of 4 amendments were processed on the agreement between 2017 and 2020 to address changes and issues occurring during the project's development. Construction began in 2021, and in September of 2024, a ribbon-cutting ceremony was held, marking a milestone for project completion. Following, on December 3, 2024, Amendment Number 5 was approved, allowing for additional project costs towards the long-term landscape maintenance. In April 2025, work on the project was deemed substantially complete, with pending final inspection by Caltrans. The 4-year landscape maintenance period began in July 2025 and will continue through 2029. So in June 2025, following SBCTA's issuance of the proposed final estimate to the contractor, SBCTA received a summary of claims for various items of work on the project. The claims were largely related to unanticipated delays and impacts caused by differing site conditions and conflicts with the Caltrans 3 Bridges replacement project that was geographically located on both sides of the Central at SR 60 project. Some claims were related to unanticipated delays in work due to the pandemic-related shortfall of materials and concrete that occurred in the region in 2021 and 2022. Additionally, there were also costs from inefficiencies and delays due to conflicts with the Caltrans 3 Bridges replacement project that overlapped with SBCTA's project limits. The 3 Bridges project was originally scheduled to be completed prior to this project. However, Caltrans's project was also affected by supply chain shortages, delaying their project by 1.5 years. After claim negotiation, SBCTA is forecasting final costs to close out the project to exceed the amount authorized in the cooperative agreement between SBCTA and the city and the current contingency balance. This slide represents the forecasted costs for the city's share at project completion, taking into consideration some cost increases related to landscape maintenance contract, balances in the construction phase, and the negotiated claim. The total forecasted project cost is $786,599 over the approved cooperative agreement amount, translating to an estimated increase of $465,820 for the city's share. The total forecast city share at project completion is $17,387,776, which is less than the adopted project budget updated under the previous council item that Sylvia presented of $19,471,129. Therefore, no additional appropriation to project R7200 is required with this action. I also wanted to point out that the landscape maintenance contract includes $50,000 in contingency funds, which will be used to address some rock escape concerns at the on and off ramps, which I'll discuss on the following slide. Some concerns have been raised regarding the loose rocks adjacent to the on and off ramps encroaching into the traveled way, which could create a safety hazard. SBCTA staff have observed trucks and vehicles pulling into the rock mulch area, which could likely cause the rocks to track into the traveled way. SBCTA has directed their landscape maintenance contractor to utilize designated access points in lieu of traveling on the rocks, and they've also asked their contractor to sweep the lanes each time they're on site to perform their maintenance work. As presented at the Streets and Infrastructure Committee meeting held on December 8, 2025, city staff are working with SBCTA and Caltrans to ensure a solution is implemented. One solution includes installing delineators to keep vehicles from pulling into the rock mulch areas and grading the rocks back about 5 feet to help prevent rocks going into the travel lanes. Another possible solution that's been discussed would be placing a binder adhesive on the rocks to create a rock blanket to prevent individual rocks from moving. The downside to that option is the binder would need to be reapplied every 1 to 2 years, creating more intensive maintenance once the responsibility is transferred ultimately to Caltrans in 2029. SBCTA has initiated a change order to process installation of the delineators and to perform the grading under their long-term maintenance contract. And once implemented, the city will continue to observe the effects of that installation. City staff is therefore recommending the execution of Amendment Number 6 to the cooperative agreement with SBCTA to adjust the total estimated project cost by $786,599 for a total project cost of $37,677,927, which translate to this increase to the city's share by $465,820 and the total city share of $17,387,776. Once Amendment Number 6 is executed, SBCTA can proceed with closing out the contract with the prime contractor. Additionally, the city will execute revised reimbursement agreements with the County of San Bernardino and the City of Montclair to adjust their fair share of project costs. The city will also continue to work with SBCTA and Caltrans to implement and monitor a solution to the loose rockscape at the on and off ramps at Central Avenue. This concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Would anyone like to address City Council on this item? Seeing none, open it up for council comments. No? Nothing? Okay, I'd like to request a motion and a second.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Councilmember Lucio,
I'll second.
seconded by Councilmember Flores. Please vote. And the item passes 4 yes with 1 absent, being the mayor. And we're going to go to item number 13. Acceptance of Transportation Development Act, Article 3, Grant Award and Establishment of a New Capital Improvement Program Project. Staff report by Stephen Galindo, Management Analyst, and Hajan Lee, our Director of Public Works.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and members of the City Council. Tonight I will provide an overview and recommendation to accept the TDA Article 3 grant funding fiscal year 2025 and to establish a new CIP project. SBCTA administers the Transportation Development Act, commonly referred to as the TDA Article 3 program. This program provides state funding dedicated exclusively to pedestrian and bicycle-only facilities projects. In August 2025, city staff submitted a TDA Article 3 grant application to fund design work for safe routes to school improvements along Benson Avenue. The proposed improvements include the installation of ADA-compliant curb ramps that connect existing sidewalks at the intersections of Chino Avenue, D Street, C Street, and B Street. These improvements are consistent with the city's 2016 Bicycle and Pedestrian Master Plan and the ADA Transition Plan, and are located within a residential area that serves both Chino High School and Allegiant STEAM Academy. At the time this project is advertised for construction, pavement improvements are anticipated to be included with the project scope. On November 5th, 2025, the SBCTA Board of Directors approved the city's grant application selected from a competitive pool of 11 applicants, awarding $44,850 in TDA grant funding, along with the required local match of $20,150. The design for project ST262 will be funded from two sources, $44,850 from the TDA Article 3 grant fund and a $20,150 city match from available local Measure I funds. The total estimated cost for the design phase is $65,000. Staff recommends that the City Council adopt resolution number 2026-011 to accept $44,850 in TDA Article 3 grant funding, establish grant number G7264, create a new capital improvement program project titled ST262 Benson Avenue Safe Routes to School Improvements, appropriate the grant funds along with a $20,150 local match from available local Measure I funds, and authorize the Director of Public Works to execute all necessary documents on behalf of the city. Staff will proceed with procuring a design consultant to begin the project. Once the design is complete, staff will return to City Council with construction cost estimates and potential grant funding opportunities to advance the project into construction. This concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you very much. Would anybody in the audience like to address City Council on this item? Come on up, Stubby.
Good evening again. So the TDA 3 funding requirements can be used for any type of elements. However, when you justify them with Safe Routes to Schools, Safe Routes to Schools is not an element program. In other words, building a curb ramp on one corner and building a curb ramp on another corner does not meet the guidelines for Safe Routes to Schools because the route in between them has to connect and has to be accessible. Curb ramps are worthless if the sidewalks between them are not accessible. Nevertheless, I still think we should do this. Any additional funding is always welcome. I would like to point out that the locations in the report are based upon Safe Routes to Schools, and we still, after way over 10 years now, when they started the design, we still don't have a single curb ramp at the intersection of C and Oaks in front of STEAM Academy. Not a single curb ramp there, and the sidewalks are completely blocked with utility poles. It's a miserable mess. It's something that we worked on back in 2014 and came up with a design, and it has not been followed through yet. So I just want to point that out. Nevertheless, please accept these funds. We need all the help we can get. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else in the audience like to approach the council? Seeing none, any council comments? None? Karen? Nothing? Okay, I'd like to request a motion and a second on this item, please.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Councilmember Flores, seconded by Councilmember Lucio. Please vote electronically. The item passes 4 yes, with 1 absent, being the mayor. Item number 14, personnel recommendations in response to City Council direction from the October 22nd, 2025 Goals Workshop. Staff report by Linda Reich, our city manager, Jackie Melendez, our assistant city manager, and Kim Sao, our finance director.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Burton, members of the council. This item before you tonight is essential to ensure the City of Chino has the personnel resources necessary to successfully implement and deliver city programs and services both today and into the future. The executive management team has identified 17 mission-critical positions that need to be filled as soon as possible. This item is in response to the council direction from the October 22nd goal-setting workshop. At that time, the City Council reviewed the city's existing and future priorities and needs and discussed the importance of right-sizing our personnel to ensure we have the team necessary to succeed. Without these 17 positions, the city will be unable to effectively implement the programs and projects included in the existing proposed fiscal year work plans. The City Council asked the executive management team to review their staffing needs and bring personnel requests back as part of the fiscal year 25-26 mid-year review. In reviewing the 25-26 existing work plans and preparing for next fiscal year, the executive team has recognized a critical, immediate need to fill positions to ensure the city can meet the growing complexity and volume of our work. And I will just add that this has been an ongoing conversation for your executive management team for at least the last year and a half, as we've encountered many changes in regulations and compliance, and as our city has grown. To meet these challenges of today, but also to ensure we are planning and preparing for Chino's responsibility, additional personnel is urgently needed to address the following, which was discussed at our workshop. So first, it's growth. The city's area, population, and infrastructure has grown tremendously over the last 20 years. Maintenance and deferred maintenance of existing infrastructure and facilities. Compliance with state and federal mandates, including new and expanded laws and regulations requiring additional National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System water quality activities, new staff training mandates, expanded Brown Act and public records request requirements, significant mandates related to housing and land use, and new and expanded personnel and collective bargaining mandates. Operational, administrative, technological, and procedural backlogs, issues, and inefficiencies. Development and implementation of long-range planning, such as master plans, infrastructure, services, and regional projects to ensure the city is anticipating and addressing future needs and services. For your consideration tonight, we are asking for 2 approvals. First, to approve the job specification and salary schedule for the Deputy Director of Technology and Innovation, and to allow Human Resources to begin the recruitment process for 17 urgent positions for which job classifications and compensation schedules currently exist. The reason for the immediate recruitment is due to the lengthy recruitment process, which can take up to 6 months to onboard a new employee. I want to just read through the list of those 17 positions. Within the staff report is a description of each, but I just want to make them clear. Payroll technician, Deputy Director of Technology and Innovation, Facilities Maintenance Technician, Associate Engineer for Transportation, Deputy City Clerk, Project Coordinator for Facility Maintenance, Housing Manager, Economic Development Analyst for Industrial and Warehouse Economic Development, Police Captain, Streets Maintenance Worker, Accessibility Specialist, Wastewater Maintenance Worker, Housing Program Coordinator, Assistant Engineer, Housing Technician, CSPR Specialist for Ayala Park and Stuvie Park, and then a GIS intern. The last 2 are part-time. All the other are full-time positions. Second, we are asking the City Council to fund the most urgently needed positions so that we can fill those positions immediately upon completion of the recruitment process. The 8 participants are anticipated to be filled for only the last 2 months of this current fiscal year. The total, and for those 2 months of this fiscal year, the anticipated cost is $422,570. Total ongoing salaries and benefits for those 8 positions will be $1,346,458,000 per year ongoing.
1 million.
Yes, what did I say, 1,000?
1,000.
Bargain, that's a bargain. Thank you. Kim probably had a heart attack just then. The 8 positions, which I've already identified and are ranked in order of the most urgent need by the executive management team, and I'm going to just repeat them. Payroll technician, Deputy Director of Technology and Innovation, Associate Engineer for Transportation, Facilities Maintenance Technician, Deputy City Clerk, Project Coordinator for Facilities Maintenance, Housing Manager, and Economic Development Analyst. And again, that cost is $1,346,458 moving forward, and that would start in fiscal year 26-27 if approved by the council tonight. So if approved by the council tonight, the next steps will include returning to the city council for consideration of the job descriptions and funding authorization requests for the remaining 9 positions, as well as for additional positions to implement the shift of the grounds maintenance work from Public Works to CSPR, and the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System permit for future water regulations. These requests will be made either during the mid-year budget update, which will probably happen in March of this year, in the next fiscal year budget, 26-27, or at a future council meeting. So I just want to summarize the recommendation. Authorize the Human Resources Department to initiate the 17 positions with the understanding that the positions will remain unfunded and unfilled until the city council allocates funding through subsequent council action. Number 2, adopt resolution number 2026-012, approving the establishment of the Deputy Director of Technology and Innovation job classification, and approve the amended and restated compensation and benefits for the Deputy Director positions. 3, and I have a correction here, appropriate $61,267 from the available fiscal year 25-26 general fund budget surplus, and $361,295. The report itself says $275, so it's a difference of $20, so I'll make that correction in the recommendation. From various other funds for a total amount of $422,570 to fund the 8 positions upon completion of recruitment for the remaining 2 months of fiscal year 25-26. So that completes my report. The executive management team is here, and we are available to answer any questions you might have.
Great. Thank you very much. Would anyone like to address City Council on this item? Stubby, come on up.
Once again, good evening. I have a question for Linda. On page 343, for the engineering associate in transportation, the absolute max bulk of the funding for that position is coming from the general fund. Is that going to be, because it's a new position, one time, or is that going to continue?
I will take a stab at that, but probably Jen or Kim would be better. But we don't have separate funding for those types of positions, street transportation, unless we're taking it from a grant. Is that correct? So we are funding most of that through general fund.
So it will be a permanent.
General fund
Thank you.
allocation.
Anybody else in the audience like to approach council on this item? Seeing none, council comments. Chris, anything on that?
I do, but I'll hold my comments for now.
Okay.
I'll comment.
Karen?
Several years ago, this council and directors and the city manager went to a workshop, and we decided to establish goals and things that we wanted to do to make the city look different and pave our roads and take care of things that were important to us. And in the study of that, we came to the realization that we had a laundry list of projects that were overdue with deferred maintenance or different things, everything from water to roads, a laundry list of things that were well overdue for us. Not to the fault of anybody before us, it came before us, just primarily what we discovered was because it costs money and it's expensive. And during that process, what we realized also was we had some accountability in budget and funding, and that our reserves and different things weren't keeping the pace for us. So that was when we asked the public to support us with the tax measure and Measure V. And during our last workshop, when the voters were generous enough and nice enough to help us pass that, we again sat down and wanted to talk about different projects that we thought were stalling, that were difficult for us to accomplish, and trying to make progress on these things. And what that came down to now was, okay, now that we have a year and a half of funding under our belts, and again, an exhaustive list of capital improvement projects to accomplish, it does take people to accomplish those things. So to me, that's where we're at with this. We've asked our staff to go research this. I know they've done an exhaustive amount of research. I will say this, to our directors that are here tonight, if the council chooses to pass this, we will expect to see results at our next workshop meeting. And to your seconds in command that are here, you know how I feel about that. You know, I have my little sayings, seeing is believing. If the council does this and we hire people, we want to see our city look notably different in 2 to 3 years, because this is the long game. Some of these projects are difficult. They take a long time to accomplish. But I love this team, and I have a lot of confidence in them. I have a lot of confidence in the amount of research they've done to present this for us. This is huge. We haven't pushed for this type of hiring in a long time because, quite frankly, we couldn't have afforded it. But I see that I have seen small wins in the teams that we've developed in economic development, to our roads, to water, different things. I'm happy with it, but we're not done. In fact, we're far from done. And there's a lot for us to catch up on. So that concludes my comments tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Karen. Chris, do you have anything?
No, not.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to ask for a motion on this item and a second.
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Motion by Councilmember Comstock, seconded by Councilmember Lucio. Please vote. And the item passes 4 yes, 1 absent, being the mayor. And next item on the agenda will be mayor and city council reports. And I'll start it off. On January 21st through the 23rd, I attended the California League of Cities Conference up in Sacramento. The 24th, I attended the Chino Valley Historical Society meeting. It was their annual meeting out at the community building, and there was a lot of people there. It was really nice. David Allen from the Inland Valley Daily Bulletin spoke, and there was a transition of the president position as well. On the 26th, the Chino Basin Water Master meeting I attended. After that, I went on my one-on-one with the city manager. On the 27th, I attended the Euclid Avenue Bridge Project meeting with Councilmember Lucio and our staff. On the 28th, I attended the ARC board meeting. After that, I attended a meeting with the Water Master engineer to talk about issues and other items within our Chino Basin water area. On the 29th, I attended the Chino DeSalter Authority Finance Committee meeting. On February 2nd, my one-on-one with the city manager. On the 3rd, today, I attended the memorial plaque dedication for Jose Uderoste. He's a longtime and beloved employee of the Water Facility Authority. And then right before our meeting this evening, I attended the closed session. And Councilmember Comstock.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. On January 26th, I attended my weekly one-on-one meeting with the city manager and the assistant city manager about various subjects affecting the city. That same evening, I attended the community service and commission meeting. That's our annual meeting about where to allocate community development block grant funding for local nonprofits to our community. That's always a very difficult decision to make, as there is a lot of good partners out there to give this money to. So I was happy to see that there was a lot of applicants and a lot of well-stated justifications for that. So I'm looking forward to reviewing the commission's decisions on that. On January 27th, I, along with Councilmember Lucio, attended the infrastructure meeting, a great meeting. I actually really enjoy being on the infrastructure committee. On January 29th, let me just back up to the infrastructure committee meeting. We've had a subject on there for a long time, but hopefully we're going to get off of there. It has to do with the preserve fountain. I just, again, want to thank our staff publicly for all their work they've done on that. On the 29th, I attended the Inland Empire Cal Cities Region chapter meeting. It was hosted by Grand Terrace. Our president right now is Bill Hussey, actually from Grand Terrace. I'm the vice president. We had a great meeting out there, well attended by several cities, discussing our upcoming goals and objectives to support Cal Cities in their 4 primary areas of focus for this year. One of the heaviest discussed one was actually the full implementation, Chief of Prop 36, and we're willing to do what we can along up and down the state to help with additional implementation and training for that. On then on February 2nd, I had my meeting with the constituent regarding some local concerns regarding zoning, and then my one-on-one with the city manager as well. And then today, that brought me to closed session with the rest of the council. And that concludes my report. Mayor Pro Tem, thank you.
Councilmember Flores.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I have no comments tonight. No comments.
Great. Okay, Councilmember Lucio.
Yeah, on the 26th, I attended the city attorney's review with Councilperson Comstock. The 27th, I attended a meeting with the city manager. Later on that day, the Infrastructure Streets Committee meeting. And thanks again for the hard work on the fountain. I think we have a right direction on what we want to do with that fountain. On the 27th, I also attended the Euclid Bridge project over in the preserve. On the 31st, the Lunar New Year celebration, which for the first year, it was a great turnout. I think initially I was told, don't be there till 11:45 because at 11, we don't think there's going to be that many people there. And I show up at 11:15 and it was already packed. So they said, hey, we need you up there now immediately. So my wife was panicking because we drove separately and she was trying to find me. But I think it was a great turnout. I mean, the people were excited. I think the Chinese community and the Asian community in our city is really, really excited at the fact that we're starting to celebrate this. And as we all know, that is probably the fastest growing population that we have, especially in the preserve. So it's good to recognize them. I know that they said that they wanted to reach out to us and do other events later on in the year. So I told them we'd be open to it, so I'm sure they're going to be reaching out to community services. On the 2nd, I should say today, I also had a meeting with the city manager, but I also wanted to just point out to Dennis Rawls. I've got a bunch of notifications from people thanking you for the stop sign. They said the stop sign is already up at East Preserve Loop and Flight.
Write this day down, by the way.
Yeah, that was incredibly quick, and I think everybody's surprised at how quick that was down there.
Thank you, Dennis.
But hopefully we have some enforcement down there because I know people aren't used to it being a four-way stop, and now it's a four-way stop, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people running that. So if we can put some flashing lights or something just to let them know that that's a new stop sign. But thank you guys for the hard work, and to reiterate what Councilperson Comstock said, you know, we used to have the staffing here at the city that was designed for 40, 50,000 people. And we all know we're going to be growing up to potentially 120,000 people. So right-sizing the organization is important, and then obviously looking at economic development and looking at bringing in new businesses, to bring in new sales taxes, and bringing in small businesses and continuing to grow like coffee. I go there several times a week. Coffee's amazing. So I think we're doing the right things, but all we ask is that just because you're getting the staffing, don't sit back and get comfortable. Continue going out there and do the work, because by you doing the work, then the community is going to appreciate all the things that they've given up, such as the 1 cent sales tax. So, you know, we're grateful that we have it. Now that we have it, let's do the work. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. City Manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council. First, I'd like to thank you for your guidance. This team works really hard to serve our community. When you have a council that supports that, it's really helpful for us. We have an amazing team, which I think you know. So we will get to work, don't worry, because I know they're all out there getting nervous, because quick, let's go. Secondly, I'd like to thank our CSPR team for bringing Lunar New Year to the city of Chino, and I want to thank Councilmember Lucio for welcoming and opening that crowd. It was fantastic, and it was busy both days, all day long. I had the opportunity to go both days. Our team does an amazing job making sure that it's safe and that people have a good time. I think this is indicative of what our residents want. They're really interested in building community and coming together and having a place to do that. So I know that Chino Days is coming. I'm not sure the exact date, but hopefully we're looking forward to the same type of participation. So thank you.
City Attorney's report.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council. Just briefly, you may recall the case, the New Commune DTLA versus Redondo Beach matter, where the court invalidated the city of Redondo Beach's housing element because it used overlays to meet the regional housing needs assessment numbers, the RENA numbers. Unfortunately, the following petition to the State Court of Appeal, Supreme Court, California Supreme Court, the Supreme Court this week decided not to take and review that matter, which I, frankly, with all due respect to our justices at the Supreme Court, I think really leaves cities, over half of the cities in California that relied on the state's guidance in adopting housing elements using the overlays in a weird position. My opinion hasn't changed that particular city's housing element was challenged within the timeline to challenge the housing element. Most housing elements are beyond that timeline to challenge, including Chino's. There's no effect on any decisions that were issued or moving forward using the housing element, but at this point it seems like a legislative fix is really what is left for the state to do. So we'll keep you informed on any new developments. You may recall the city of Chino contributed to writing what they call a amicus brief, friend of the court, to support the court's review and ultimate overturning of that Court of Appeal decision, but without any explanation, they chose not to take review of the case. On a lighter note, the Robert Hensley with my office, who serves as your planning commission attorney and the assistant city attorney, is back to work, and after a period of some health challenges, so very excited about that. And he will be at the Planning Commission meeting this month.
Great. We'll welcome him back.
Thank you.
Director's report.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and members of the council. Thank you for the opportunity to give a quick update. I think, Councilman Lucio, you have already alluded to the fact that our field crew already installed the four-way stop sign at East Preserve Loop, and they also refreshed all the striping to include all the advanced warning signs to let the residents know that there is a stop sign in all directions. And also, we want to update you on progress that we're making on Euclid Avenue. Today, one of our staff attended the Santa Ana Water Protection Agency, SAPA, to collaborate on relocating one of their brine line. So we're in active discussion on how we're going to collaborate, and we received positive feedback. So we're really pleased to report that Euclid project is moving forward, and we're gaining a lot of support from our partners in the project.
Does the brine line cross Euclid someplace, or does
Yes.
it run parallel?
It crosses, and we had a potential for conflict with one of our footing and foundation, and they had already planned to replace that and upsize that brine line in about 10 years, but they will be advancing that with us, with our project, which means we have a excellent partnership and cost savings for them and also for us on economy of scale for what we're doing, because we're going to be doing all the environmental clearance on their behalf, which we have to do anyway. So we're gaining a lot of support, and they're going to partner with us. And once they upsize it, it allows them to also sell additional capacity, which is good for them and good for us, because then they don't have to come back and re-dig up our bridge area.
Where does that funding come from?
We're in the process of discussing how we're going to fund our project funding and their funding. So that's where the partnership comes from. Typically on cases like this, when initiating agency causes the relocation, typically initiating agency pays 100% of the cost. But on this case, we had a discussion early on, and they're willing to share in that cost.
How much is the state of California kicking in since it's Highway 83?
Big fat zero. Well, we are in the process of finalizing the relinquishment process, and I think around May is when we are going to be finalizing that the relinquishment and also getting the funding. And as you recall, we got additional funding from the CTC for relinquishment. So I think all around, I think our staff is doing an excellent job in advocating for the city of Chino and our residents, and we're advancing these projects forward that has never had gone before. So I'm very, very pleased with the progress we're making.
And we thank you, and I know that our council does see the progress that our city is making out there, so thank you.
Thank you.
Police chief report.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So you read in the public announcements, we're looking forward to is actually be our 25th year for the Run for Russ. So we have 1,184. That's how many we had last year. Total registrations, we're at 939, which is about 100 more at this point last year. So we're looking to at least have that same number, if not surpass it. So it's always a great event. The weather's going to be really nice. So, and then just secondly, I want to commend the officers for their actions that survived the violent attack on January 21st, right up the street here on Central Avenue, and potentially saving the life of the young lady that was inside the vehicle. So anytime we have to use deadly force, it is tragic. However, I'm just extremely grateful that our officers were not seriously hurt. So that concludes my report, unless you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Fire Chief's report, we're going to ask Deputy Fire Chief Greg Gable to come up.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, executive staff, public. Just like to give a brief update. So we're hiring 5 new firefighter paramedics. They'll start the academy in April, go through the academy from April and May, and hit the floor serving this great community in early June. So just a quick update on that, and that's all I have for you this evening, unless you have any questions for me.
Right? No questions. Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it very
I
much.
got a question.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Your thing on the 14th, are you selling advance tickets or you have to just buy them at the door?
Are you referring to the St. Patty's Day, or pardon me, yeah, St. Patty's Day event?
Yes.
So both. You can go online and purchase the tickets ahead of time or buy them at the door.
Okay.
Since that was brought up, can you explain what that is?
So I think he's referring to the Brew Fest that we've had for several years now over in the shops in Chino Hills. So there'll be several breweries there. They'll have our pipes and drums there, our honor guard. It's a great event. A lot of families come out and enjoy that. And obviously 21 and over once you enter the beer garden.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, hope to see you guys there.
Thanks. Okay, this meeting is adjourned in memory of Troy Ament. The next meeting of the City Council will be a study session held on Tuesday, February 10th, 2026 at 6 p.m. in these council chambers. The next regular meeting of the City Council will be held on Tuesday, February 17th, 2026 at 6 p.m. Right here in these council chambers. This meeting is adjourned.